Welcome to the Land app. On first entering the Land app, you'll find yourself in the Maps dashboard. The Maps dashboard contains all of the maps or clients that you have in the software. I'm going to run you through setting up a new map. So firstly, top left, click New. I'm going to call this at Home Farm. Click Create an Empty Map. Now the first thing you'll notice when you come into the software is that you're presented with the Ordnance Survey data for the entire UK. Over on the left hand side here we have the boundary section of the software. This is where all of the core data that makes up the farm or estate or holding sits. The project section is where all edited projects and designs are done. Over on the right hand side we have the different base data sets and map overlays, as well as a series of tools up in the top right here. So let's go ahead and start this map. The first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to import my Rural Payments Agency boundaries directly from the Rural Payments Agency account. So I've already opened up the tab here, the business overview for our farm at home. In the top right you'll see the Chrome extension. In another video I'll explain how to set the Chrome extension up. Left click on that and click on Collect Land Covers with Hedges. Select that data download in the bottom left. Brilliant. Now moving back into the Land app, you can very simply drag and drop this file directly into the Land app. And to start the map, we're actually going to start this on the boundary layer. So zoom down to our farm at home. So the second section in setting up the map is clicking on the Pick from Map button up in the top left in the boundary section. We make available all of the land registry parcels for England and Wales, and this process is simply a matter of selecting the titles that make up the holding by left clicking on each of those individual shapes. If you do click a title that isn't actually yours, you can left click again and that deselects that feature. So once you've gone around and selected all the titles, simply come back to the top left and click Save Boundary and Finish. And you'll now see the land registry section is populated, and I can now select the land registry parcels, and here I have the title number presented, the address and the tenure. We'll come back to that later. Otherwise, navigating around the software, as mentioned, you have provided a series of different base data sets which you can select. Let's move back to the Ordnance Survey Master Map data, which is the authoritative data for England and Wales. So zooming straight in, you can see you get given the high detail Ordnance Survey data to help you with your mapping. Additionally to the base data sets, we also provide a series of map overlays. This is predominantly data from DEFRA, such as Areas of Outstanding Natural Beauty, SSSIs, MVZs, Scheduled Ancient Monument, Greenbelt, as well as listed buildings, public rights of way, and a series of other data sets, all of which are important for both management and valuation purposes. Let's turn those back off again. You can also import your own data sets using this import button and dragging and dropping files into this box here. We also have up in the top right an estate report. You can click on the estate report and it generates a simple report about the holding based on the land registry parcels. We provide river catchments, natural character areas and the administrative boundaries. So very quickly you get a snapshot of each of the separate major components that affect the property. Each of these blue hyperlinked buttons allows you to click through and get additional information about this specific area. Quickly going through some of the other tools up in the top right, we have a very simple measure tool, so click that and very simply you can start to measure out features. The drawing tools that we also provide also display the measurement. We'll get to that later. The software is collaborative, which is one of its biggest unique points. Very similar to Google Docs, you can add collaborators to the map. So simply type in an email address of a colleague, a client, or a stakeholder in the project, potentially a contractor. Add them to this Add Collaborators list here. Change their permission from read-only or editor and click Add Viewer. Once you've done that, you can share the URL link that's here to that individual and they'll be able to sign up to the software and come in and contribute to your map. Editors have the ability to come in and edit the features on the map and add more information to help guide your thinking. Read-only, just get a simple view of the software and the maps that you've created, but no ability to edit. Let's come back out of that. The Land app has a very simple print function, very quick and easy, and as you'll see, it allows you to print any map at any scale with any detail. So simply clicking on the Print This Map button, I can change the paper size and the orientation. I can print to a fixed scale, should I wish. I can change the base data set in the print. I can add a header and a footer, and I can add additional information. So let's type this in. We'll show a legend, we'll show the copyright, scale bar, north arrow, and we'll click Buy Print. Clicking on My Prints takes you into the print window, and you can see the processing time here. Once that's completed, simply click Download and choose the download format. And there's our print. And we can simply export this out now as a PDF. The prints you can always retrieve from this print panel here. Let's go back into our map. So that is the core information, the boundary data with land registry and RPA data. You can also import data from files from external sources and import that directly into the software. We've looked at the base data, the overlays, the report, the measure, collaborate and print. Now let's go into the project design process. So we're going to start with the basic payment scheme. So the basic payment scheme was built using the land cover and hedge data, which we can simply copy onto the My Project section by clicking on the three vertical dots, click Duplicate, and we'll click on the basic payment scheme option. We'll change this to BPS 2019. Click Create Project, and you'll see that all of the features have now copied to this BPS project. They've been colored according to their feature type, and let's go in and look at that now. So on our farm, everything predominantly is permanent grassland, but by clicking on the feature, down in the My Project section, you'll see under the BPS project, we have our field number, and inside that field parcel, we have permanent grassland and the hedges that make up the field boundary. Over on the right hand side, we have some more information. So we have the name, which we can add to the map, the code, the basic payment scheme land use code, the area, and we can also put in a center point. So very quickly we can start to see some of the key information about the way the land is being used on the map. When it comes to editing, which you can now do as the features are in the My Project section, say we were going to put this into if we were going to change it to a crop type, hypothetically. By clicking on this button just here, you get the drop down of all the different land use types that the Rural Payments Agency make available. Or if you want to search, we can also type in some text here, and we'll say, just hypothetically, that we're going to put this field into spring wheat. Click on that, and what you'll see is the field changed color. The code has also changed, which we can put on the map, and we can change the name to wheat. Going into some more complex functions, if you want to split one of these field parcels and you want to assign different land use codes to different sections of the parcel, then all you have to do is highlight the feature on the map by left clicking, right click, and you'll be presented with these editing options. I'm going to choose the split function. So now with the split function we can cut this field in two. So to use the split function, start outside the feature and finish outside the feature, and you'll see now that our permanent grassland down here has been split into two separate polygons. So I'm going to select one and I'm going to turn this into pumpkins, and on the north edge I'm going to change this feature type to sunflower. You can see that the codes have updated accordingly. In the left hand panel you can see the crop type has changed, and what I'll do is I'll show you the table view, which has all of the information that we've just mapped presented in the way that the RPA expect the data to be submitted. So here is the table view broken down from fields into the features, the eligible areas, as well as information about the hedges. So if I scroll down this list, we'll see here was the wheat that I put in, and slightly further down we can see that the total field area has been broken down into the two separate parcels for the pumpkins and sunflowers. This table view is possible to then download as an Excel file, so you can open it up in Excel and do any further processing that you wish. Let's come back to the map. So that is how you very quickly and easily import the land cover data from the business overview page and using our Chrome extension, import the land cover data into the Land app, duplicate that onto the basic payment scheme project, and then make the edits on the map to produce the table. All of this information is then contained within this single map, and you can use it as future reference for designing up countryside stewardship and other land use features. I'm going to add in a few more projects now. So to do that, I'm going to click Add Project, create your own project. This presents a new project in this panel. I'm going to rename this as Farm Shop. Click Rename Project. Now, to draw features onto this project, which is similar to a folder on a computer, I'm going to highlight it by left clicking. I'm then going to click Add Feature. I'm going to type in building, and then I could go ahead and design in some buildings. So let's zoom down and start designing up a diversification project. So here I'm going to simply design up a building. I get the measurements as I go. That's one method of drawing in a building. The alternative method is to use our common drawing tools. So here is a rectangle, so I can draw in our rectangle, so everything stays as right angles. Let's draw another one of those on the side. And I'm going to combine some functions here. So there's a building that we've just drawn in. I'm going to now merge these three features together by right-clicking, clicking merge, right-click, merge, and left-click on the feature we want to merge it into. On the right-hand panel here, you can see some of the attributes. Just as I did before with Basic Payment Scheme, I'm going to left-click on rectangle, and I'm going to type in building, and I'm going to name this feature building. So now on the left hand side we can see we have two features of building drawn on the map. I'm now going to add some new features, so I'm going to put in some parking, and I'm just going to mock this up. You can see the nodes snap to the building outline. Left click. Let's go and add a few more features. Add some trees. You can see these features getting added to the list down here. There we are. Brilliant. And you can continue to add more features to the map. Let's come back to the left-hand panel, make those invisible, make them visible. And so this is how you start to do scenario planning on the Land app. Another project that we could look to do is a land registration. So down here I know that I have unregistered land on the farm. So click on land registry parcels, and I can see that there's a block of unregistered land here on the farm. Now I know that we do own this, and so let's do a first registration project. So we're going to hit add project, create your own, rename FR1, click rename project. Now what I'm going to do here is I'm actually going to take some of the land registry parcels, just going to look at land registry rather than anything else, and I'm going to copy these features onto the FR1 project. The reason for that will become clear shortly. So I'm going to left click on one of the titles that makes up the farm. I'm going to hold down shift, and I'm going to select some of the neighbouring land registry titles. The three are now selected, and I'm going to copy these features to a project, and I'm going to choose the FR1 project, copy feature to project. You can see now they've become interactive, so we've copied the land registry data onto this project. Just for simplicity, I'm going to turn the land registry data back off, make it invisible, so that we can see it. And now we're only looking at the FR1 project. So I'm now going to create a polygon on the inside of this area here. That's very simple. So click on the FR1 project. I'm going to add feature. I'm going to type in ownership boundary, or alternatively I could go to the boundary drop down and click on ownership boundary. I'm now going to start somewhere on the map and hold down S, and what you'll see starting to happen is when I hold down S, the line snaps to the polygons, so to create a crisp, accurate boundary around the other features. finish drawing, I can now select this feature. I can see it's called ownership boundary. I can call this FR1, put the text onto the map, put on the area, or alternatively, I could annotate this by clicking the text button up in the top left, click on the map. It provides me with the text point. I can now call this FR1. I can then add an arrow, left click once, double left click to finish. There's our annotation on top of the map. Now what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to remove these features that were the land registry parcels around our first registration, and I'm going to, so I held down shift, multi-selected, and then I can click delete features. And there's a new project. Should you wish to actually share this feature with one of your collaborators, each feature has its own unique URL. So by left clicking on that text, the specific reference link for this feature is copied. I can now add a new tab just to demonstrate this. Right click, click paste, hit enter. The Land app will open, and this is how it would work for one of your collaborators. The feature would be highlighted and they would see what you're referring to. So feature linking allows you to add feature codes back into databases or share with collaborators, and allows them to come in and see that on your map. Let's look at another couple of functions that might be useful. If we want to create an estate boundary, a single estate boundary, we can also do that. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take all of our land registry parcels, which are visible, left click, hold down shift, and multi-select each of those individual features. I'm going to then copy the features to a project, create a new project. I'm going to call this estate boundary, create new, there we are. So those features have now been copied. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to merge all of these features into one single shape by left clicking on each one, merging, left click and merge, left click and merge, and I'm going to zoom in just here. There we are. So if I go back to zoom to feature, there's the estate boundary as one single polygon. I can then change its land use, change its boundary to ownership boundary. If I want to do any editing of this default color, that's also possible. So let me select the polygon again. I'm going to override the default colors, and I'm going to say I'm going to make a fill of nothing, and I'm going to make a color of red with a slight bit more thickness. There we are, deselected, and so now a single estate boundary has been selected. Let's look at some of the projects we've created. There we are. So very quick and easy to build up a core base map of any farm or estate. What I'll also do is now demonstrating some of those more complex functions. I'll come back to more day-to-day use. So one of the real benefits is enabling you to make accessible some of the core information, such as water pipes, electricity cables, stopcocks, water meters, all on the software as well. So by clicking on the project of land features, I'm going to add a feature. I'm going to click water pipe. I'm going to zoom in. And I'm going to come all the way through to where I know that water pipe goes to a trough there. Create another one up here, and we could also create another just here. Finish drawing. Let's now digitize some of our trees. So I just chose the feature of draw trees. There we are. I'm now just digitizing a few of these trees that we have on the farm. If I now click finish drawing, return back to Ordnance Survey data, we'll see that the trees have now been digitized. And you can continue to do that for all of the other features on the farm. So where gates might be, how the land is being used, the different utilities that you have on the farm, as well as natural features. One of the other functions we have is the ability to upload georeferenced photos. So I'm going to add a new project, and I'm going to click the three vertical dots, click rename. I'm going to call this photo, rename project. By now clicking the three vertical dots here, I can upload photos onto this project. I'll go to georeference photos, and I'll take, let's just add a few in. There we are. So if I zoom back into the map now, I can select these photos, left click here, and the photo is then presented and visible to me. Let's click close and show you some of the other ones. So that photo, particularly relevant for this farm shop project. Each of those photos can be downloaded, and of course they can be viewed by any of the collaborators that you've invited into your map. Again, to streamline the process of project design work and capturing the base data prior to doing any work, as well as monitoring over time. We also have customer support available through the software. So down in the bottom right, you'll see this chat icon. By left clicking on the chat icon, you can easily start a new conversation with us. You can come into search for articles, where you can find some of our latest videos, and you can also sign yourself up to one of our regular webinars. Please feel free to communicate with us through here, and we'll do all we can to help you. When you have finished mapping, you can go back to all maps, and you'll see your map in the dashboard. And when you want to come to sign out, you can left click up in the top right here and click sign out. Thank you very much.